A dog wouldn't stop barking at a cave. It wasn't until his owner gathered the courage to enter that he uncovered something that left him utterly shaken. Michael had always trusted Buddy's instincts. He was a medium-sized mutt with golden fur and a distinctive white patch on his chest. His bright eyes and ever-alert ears reflected his loyal and curious nature. Michael had rescued him from a shelter 5 years ago, and since then, the two had been inseparable. But that day felt different, as if the morning air itself carried an unspoken tension. Unlike their usual peaceful walks through the hills, today Buddy, the ever-reliable dog, seemed unusually on edge. They had left the house as usual, stepping onto the familiar dirt path that meandered through the woods outside town, with the smell of pine and wildflowers filling the air. But Buddy's behavior wasn't typical. His golden fur bristled, ears twitching at every subtle noise the forest whispered. Buddy wasn't the type to bolt without reason, so when he suddenly froze, gaze fixed on something beyond the trees, Mikhail knew something was up. In an instant, the dog darted ahead, barking as if he was chasing an invisible force. "Buddy, stop!" Mikhail called, but the dog's determination was clear. As Mikhail raced after him, the trail quickly grew more treacherous. The ground beneath his feet was uneven. Twisted roots and hanging branches made his pursuit all the more difficult. The further they went, the more Michael struggled to keep up, until finally he caught sight of Buddy standing alert, his focus trained on the mouth of a cave nestled in the rocky hillside. The entrance was half hidden by layers of moss and vines. But what struck Michael wasn't the cave's appearance. It was Buddy's unwavering reaction to it. The dog barked incessantly, his gaze switching between the cave and his owner, urging Michael to follow his lead. Kneeling down next to his companion, Michael placed a calming hand on Buddy's head. "What is it, boy?" he asked softly. But Buddy remained anxious, paws digging into the dirt near the entrance, his bark insistent. The sense of something unknown lurking within the darkness sent a chill down Michael's spine. It wasn't just the eerie stillness of the cave. It felt as though the blackness ahead was alive, almost beckoning them into its depths. Michael paused, torn between reason and the palpable tension in the air. He could easily turn back, return to the familiar safety of the trail, leaving whatever mystery the cave held behind him. Yet Buddy's urgency was impossible to ignore. There was something significant about this moment. Taking a deep breath, Michael reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out his phone. With a flick, the flashlight illuminated the cave's entrance, casting a narrow beam of light into the darkness. The beam revealed jagged rock walls, leading deeper into the unknown, and without a word, Michael knew what he had to do. "All right, boy," Michael muttered, glancing at Buddy, whose restless energy had calmed but whose focus remained unbroken. "Let's see what's in there." The beam of light sliced through the cave's darkness, revealing a rocky tunnel that stretched beyond the light's reach. Buddy, seeing that his owner had finally grasped the gravity of the situation, stopped barking and looked at Michael expectantly. It was as if the dog were saying, "Come on, we have to go in, this is important." Michael took a deep breath, summoning his courage. "All right, Buddy," he said, his voice echoing faintly at the cave's entrance. "Let's see what you've found." With cautious steps, man and dog ventured into the dark abyss of the cave, unaware that they were on the verge of a discovery that would change their lives forever. The sound of their footsteps and Buddy's heavy breathing were the only noises piercing the sepulchral silence around them. As they pressed on, the air grew colder and damper. The beam of the flashlight danced along the rocky walls, casting shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. Michael could feel the weight of the unknown pressing on his shoulders, yet Buddy's unwavering determination drove him to continue. What felt like an eternity passed, though in reality it could have been only minutes before the tunnel widened, opening into a larger chamber. And it was there, in the heart of that hidden cave, that Michael and Buddy stumbled upon something that would challenge everything they believed to be possible. Michael's flashlight swept across the chamber, revealing rocky walls covered in moss and delicate limestone formations. The air was cold, damp, and heavy, with the scent of wet earth. Buddy, still restless, sniffed the ground with growing intensity, occasionally letting out a low whimper. "What is it, boy? What do you sense?" Michael murmured, his heart racing with a mixture of apprehension and curiosity. Suddenly, a faint sound echoed through the cave. Michael froze, straining his ears. There it was again, a muffled sob, barely audible. "Is someone there?" Michael called out, his voice trembling. The silence that followed was broken only by Buddy's labored breathing. Then, as if in answer to his question, a low, frightened cry filled the cave. Michael and Buddy exchanged glances. Without hesitation, they moved deeper into the cave, guided by the sound of the sobbing. The tunnel began to narrow, forcing Michael to crouch to avoid the stalactites that hung low from the ceiling. Finally, after what seemed like another endless stretch of time, the flashlight illuminated a small figure huddled against the cave wall. It was a little girl, no older than 6. Her face was dirty and streaked with tears, and she clutched her knees to her chest in a protective gesture. "Oh my God!" Michael gasped, rushing toward the child. Buddy followed closely, his tail wagging with excitement. The girl looked up, startled by their sudden appearance, and shrank further against the wall, her wide eyes filled with fear. "It's okay, sweetheart," Michael said gently, kneeling at a safe distance so as not to scare her further. "We're here to help. I'm Michael, and this is Buddy. What's your name?" The girl hesitated for a moment, her eyes darting between Michael and Buddy. Sensing her need for comfort, Buddy slowly approached and lay down beside her, offering his warmth and reassuring presence. "Lena," the girl finally whispered, her voice barely audible. "Lena, I'm so glad we found you," Michael said, feeling a wave of relief wash over him. "Are you hurt?" Lena shook her head, but then pointed to her ankle. "I fell, and I can't walk very well," she explained. Michael nodded in understanding. "Don't worry, we'll get you out of here. Can you tell me how you ended up in this cave?" Tears began to roll down Lena's cheeks once more. "I was camping with my parents. I went exploring and got lost. Then I found this cave and thought I could hide from the rain, but I couldn't find my way back." Michel's heart ached as he imagined the terror this little girl must have felt, alone in the darkness for who knows how long. "How long have you been here, Lena?" Michel asked softly. "I don't know," she sobbed, her small voice trembling. "It feels like a long time. I'm hungry and thirsty." Michel, grateful for his habit of always being prepared, quickly took off his backpack. He pulled out a bottle of water and a cereal bar, handing them to the girl. She accepted them eagerly, her small hands shaking slightly. As Lena ate and drank, Michel's mind raced. They needed to get out of the cave and find her parents, but the journey ahead would be difficult with her injured ankle. He had no idea how long she had been missing, or how far away they were from where she got lost. Buddy, sensing Michel's growing concern, placed his muzzle gently on his owner's hand, as if to reassure him. The silent gesture seemed to say, "We can do this." Michael took a deep breath, knowing the weight of responsibility now rested squarely on his shoulders. He needed to stay calm for Lena, find a safe way out, and somehow reunite her with her worried parents. "Lena," he said gently, "do you think you can lean on me? We'll get out of here together, and we'll find your parents, okay?" Lena nodded bravely, a small, hesitant smile flickering across her face for the first time. "Buddy will come too, right?" Michael smiled, running his hand over Buddy's head. "Of course. Buddy brought us to you, and he'll help us get out of here too." With that, Michael carefully helped Lena to her feet, letting her lean on him for support. He knew that they were only at the beginning of what would be a long and treacherous journey. The darkness of the cave, the rough terrain, and the uncertainty of the world outside loomed ahead of them. But with Buddy's unwavering loyalty and their shared determination, they would face every challenge and see Lena safely home. As they slowly moved forward, Michael's flashlight illuminated the rocky path in front of them. Lena leaned heavily on him, wincing with every step. Buddy, always alert, led the way, nose to the ground, sniffing out a possible exit from the cave. A brief sigh of relief echoed off the cave walls as they continued, but it was quickly replaced by a sense of dread. Outside, a furious storm raged, the wind howling like a wild beast, bending the trees as if they were mere twigs, and rain poured down in thick sheets, almost blinding. "Oh no," Michael muttered, his heart sinking. Escaping now would be extremely dangerous, especially with Lena so vulnerable. As if confirming his worst fears, a deafening crack echoed through the forest, followed by the crash of splintering wood. A massive tree had fallen just outside the cave entrance, partially blocking their way out. Lena clung to Michael, her small body trembling with fear. "What are we going to do now?" she asked, her voice quivering. At that moment, Buddy began barking again, running toward the back of the cave and then circling back, as if urging them to follow him to safety. "What is it, boy? Did you find something?" Michael asked, curiosity and hope stirring in his chest. Trusting Buddy's instincts, Michael gently helped Lena back toward the depths of the cave. They followed the dog through a side tunnel they hadn't noticed earlier. It was lit by a strange blue glow that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the cave. After a few cautious minutes of walking, they arrived at a vast chamber that left them both speechless. The ceiling of the cave was adorned with crystals shining with a soft, ethereal blue light that bathed the entire space in a magical glow. In the center of the chamber was a small underground lake, its still waters reflecting the light like a mirror, creating a mesmerizing and otherworldly sight. It's magical," Lena whispered, her eyes wide with awe. Michael nodded, equally amazed. "It truly is. Look over there," he pointed near the lake. "There's a dry, flat area. We can rest there for a while, wait out the storm." They made their way to the spot Michael had pointed out. He used his backpack as an improvised pillow for Lena, who lay down, exhausted. Buddy curled up beside her, offering warmth and comfort, his presence a silent reassurance. As Lena drifted off to sleep, Michael found himself reflecting on the extraordinary events of the day, the discovery of this hidden cave, the rescue of Lena, and now this magical refuge they had stumbled upon. As he sat in the quiet of the chamber, his eyes were drawn to the cave walls. Upon closer inspection, Michael noticed ancient paintings, nearly faded with time, depicting human figures, animals, and strange creatures that seemed to be part human, part beast. A shiver ran down his spine. Could this cave have once been a sacred place for an ancient people? A bridge between the natural world and something far beyond their understanding? His thoughts were interrupted by a soft murmur. "It's okay, Lena. You're safe," Michael whispered, stroking her hair gently to soothe her. Lena opened her eyes, tears welling up. "I dreamed about my parents. They were looking for me, calling my name, but I couldn't answer." Michael's heart ached for the young girl's fear. He knew they had to leave the cave soon, but Lena's safety was his top priority. As he mulled over their next steps, Buddy suddenly perked up, ears alert, and began barking excitedly again. This time, the sound that followed made Michael's heart race, distant voices calling Lena's name. "Daddy! Mommy!" Lena shouted, trying to stand quickly. Michael helped her up, his mind racing. Could it be that Lena's parents had found shelter in the same cave during the storm, bringing them all together by sheer fate? As the voices grew nearer, echoing off the cave walls, Michael knew the next few moments would be pivotal. With hope and anxiety swirling in his chest, he prepared for what was to come, knowing that the adventure they had shared in this cave would change their lives forever. They settled in the designated spot, with Michael using his backpack as an improvised pillow for Lena. Buddy curled up beside her, offering warmth and comfort as she prepared to rest. As Lena slipped into an exhausted sleep, Michael found himself reflecting on the extraordinary events of the day. The discovery of that hidden cave, the rescue of Lena, and now this place that seemed almost magical. It all felt surreal, as though he were living in a dream or a fantastical tale. It was then that Michael noticed something unusual on the walls of the cave. As he moved closer, he realized the walls were adorned with ancient paintings, almost faded by time. The images depicted human figures, animals, and strange creatures that seemed to be a blend of both, half man, half beast. A shiver ran down Michael's spine. Could it be that this cave had once been a sacred place for ancient peoples, a point of connection between the natural world and something beyond human understanding? His thoughts were interrupted by a soft voice. "It's okay, Lena. You're safe," he said gently, stroking her hair to comfort her. Lena opened her eyes, and Michael saw tears rolling down her cheeks. "I dreamed about my parents. They were searching for me, calling my name, but I couldn't answer," she whispered. Michael's heart tightened with compassion. He knew they needed to leave the cave as soon as possible, but he also understood that Lena's safety was the top priority. At that moment, Buddy, who had been calm until now, suddenly stood up, ears pricked, alert. He began barking excitedly, running towards one of the cave's entrances. Michael and Lena exchanged confused glances, but before they could react, they heard something that made their hearts race. Distant voices calling Lena's name. "Papa! Mama!" Lena cried out, trying to stand up quickly. Michael helped her to her feet, his mind racing. How had Lena's parents found them? Had the storm forced them to seek shelter in the same cave, bringing them right to this spot? The voices drew nearer, echoing off the cave walls. Buddy kept barking, his excitement palpable, leading the newcomers straight to where they stood. Michael knew the next moments would be crucial. The emotional reunion that was about to take place, the explanations they would need to provide, and the decision of whether or not to reveal the secret of the magical chamber they had discovered, each of these would shape the outcome of this incredible and unexpected adventure. With his heart pounding and a mixture of anxiety and hope surging within him, Michael braced himself for what was to come, fully aware that his life and Lena's had been forever changed by this underground journey. The echo of distant voices reverberated through the damp cave walls, blending with Buddy's insistent barking. Michael felt Lena tense beside him, her small body trembling with both anxiety and hope. Two beams of light sliced through the darkness, revealing a middle-aged couple, their faces marked by exhaustion and worry. The moment they saw Lena, their expressions transformed into a mixture of relief and disbelief. "Lena!" they exclaimed in unison, their voices heavy with emotion. The reunion was intense and wordless. Tight embraces, restrained tears, words choked by overwhelming feelings. Michael watched the scene, feeling both like an intruder and an essential part of this moment. When they finally parted, Lena's father, a stern-looking man, extended his hand to Michael. "We have no words to express our gratitude. I am Roberto, and this is my wife, Anna." Roberto extended his hand, and Michael grasped it, feeling the faint tremor in his touch. "Michael, it was really Buddy who found Lena," he said, gesturing toward the dog, who stood alert by his side. Anna, still holding Lena close, looked around, noticing for the first time the unusual surroundings. "Where exactly are we? And how?" Her voice faltered, unable to voice all the questions clearly plaguing her mind. Michael briefly explained the discovery of the hidden chamber, Lena's injured ankle, and the storm that still raged outside. Roberto, being a doctor, immediately knelt to examine his daughter's foot. "It seems to be a mild sprain," he diagnosed, his professional tone masking the deep paternal concern. "But we need to immobilize it properly as soon as possible." The group began to discuss their options, fully aware of the challenges still lying ahead. Though the storm had lessened, it still roared outside, and the terrain would be treacherous, especially in the dark, with Lena injured. As they prepared to make a temporary camp, Michiel's gaze was drawn to the ancient paintings on the cave walls. He studied them in silence, his mind wandering over the archaeological and historical implications of such a discovery. Roberto joined him, his eyes moving between the mysterious images and Michiel's contemplative expression. "Does this change everything?" he asked softly. Michael nodded, understanding the weight of the question. The discovery of this chamber could carry profound consequences, some good, others potentially destructive. The next few hours passed in thoughtful preparation and deep reflection. They debated the risks of revealing the chamber's existence, the ethical responsibilities that came with such a revelation, and the personal transformations each of them had undergone through this extraordinary experience. Despite the exhaustion and pain, Lena displayed a remarkable maturity. In a moment of quiet, she murmured, "Perhaps some things are meant to remain a mystery." Her observation stirred a reflective silence among them. Michael realized that each of them, himself, Lena, her parents, and even Buddy, had been deeply changed by what they had gone through. The certainties of the world outside now felt distant, insignificant compared to what they had experienced within this cave. As the storm gradually subsided, the group prepared to leave. The decision to keep the chamber a secret weighed heavily on them, a shared responsibility that bound them together in an unexpected way. As they made their way toward the exit, Michael reflected on how, in just a few hours, his life had been irrevocably altered. The courage, vulnerability, and human connection he had encountered in that dark, mysterious place had granted him a renewed perspective on what truly matters in life. With one last look at the enigmatic chamber, the group stepped forward into the outside world, each of them carrying not only the weight of the secret, but also the strength and personal growth forged in that extraordinary underground journey. The group emerged from the cave into the soft light of dawn, the air still thick and heavy with moisture from the storm. The silence of the forest was only broken by the careful sound of their footsteps and Buddy's labored breathing. As they moved slowly, supporting Lena, the distant hum of helicopters began to echo through the trees. The search for Lena had clearly intensified overnight. Michael exchanged glances with Roberto and Anna. They knew the decisive moment was approaching. How could they explain the last 24 hours without revealing the secret of the cave they had discovered? Suddenly, the ground beneath them gave way. The heavy rains combined with erosion had created an unstable section of earth. In a reflex, Michael pushed Lena into her mother's arms, but he himself slipped over the edge of a freshly formed ravine. "Michael!" Lena screamed, reaching out her hand to him, but it was futile. For a moment, Michael felt suspended in mid-air, the fall seemingly inevitable. Then something gripped his arm firmly, a sharp bite. Buddy, summoning an astonishing strength, held Michael steady, his front paws digging into the muddy ground. Roberto rushed forward, grabbing Mikkel's other arm. Together, man and dog pulled Mikkel back to safety. Covered in mud and gasping for breath, the group embraced, feeling the adrenaline surge through their veins. In that moment, the barriers between them dissolved. They were now a single unit, bound together by adversity and the secret they shared. The sound of the helicopters grew louder, and the searchlights began sweeping the area, finally illuminating the weary group. Rescue teams hurried toward them, and Michael glanced at each of his companions. No words were needed. The pact of silence was sealed with shared looks of understanding. The secret of the cave would remain with them, a treasure not stored in glowing crystals, but in the hearts of those who had experienced its magic. Lena, still leaning on her parents, smiled at Michael and Buddy. "Thank you," she said, her words carrying the full weight of all they had been through together. Michael nodded, feeling a complex mix of emotions, relief, sadness at the end of the adventure, and a profound sense of personal transformation. He knew, from that moment on, his life would never be the same. As the paramedics approached and the noise of the outside world invaded their once silent circle, Michael allowed himself a final moment of reflection. The cave had not only been a physical refuge, it had been a catalyst for growth, courage, and human connection. With Buddy by his side, loyal as ever, Michael stepped toward the approaching lights and voices, leaving the cave's darkness behind. Yet he carried with him the light of the experience that would change his life forever. The secret of the cave would remain hidden, but the lessons learned in its depths would continue to resonate in their lives, a silent testament to the incredible journey they had shared. Sometimes it's those unexpected moments, guided by instincts we can't fully explain, that lead us to the most unforgettable journeys. If you enjoyed this story and felt the tension and excitement as much as I did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on the next thrilling adventure we've got in store. Your support helps us continue to bring you more stories like this. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious, stay adventurous.